So while everyone I've talked to about Digimon World 4 doesn't remember the game because they choose not to remember, I'm a bit different.
Haha, I didn't see you there. Alright, we still back home with the fam, so different setup, but my OGs will remember this one.
We're moving into the new year, Digimon Survive's year, and after that we can begin expecting to see the new story and world games. Over the past few weeks and months we've talked and are still discussing to this day some of the wants and hopes we have for this next story game, and I'm gauging your guys' interest to see if you would like to have a discussion regarding the new Digimon World series as well. So if you are a Digimon World fan, make some noise in the comments so I can know. But throughout these series of videos, we've touched on a few things here and there, and so for this video, I'd like to congregate all the positive aspects we see in these new generation Digimon games and craft the perfect game. Or at least attempt to.
This video was brought to you by a member named NeoDigi, so if you see him in the comments, show some love. Seriously.
A perk that I don't talk about often for joining the JAMSQUAD is the ability to suggest and work with me on a video idea you have.
So consider joining today. My script right?
So I know I said I want to craft the perfect game, but rather, I would like to insert my ideas as to what ifs, and then from there let you guys build off of that in the comments. So, let's begin. When we think of the recent Digimon Story games, I think the biggest one I've seen people ask for is the integration of the digital world more than what we saw in Cyber Sleuth. When you think about it, it was really only the ending sequence that we entered the digital world, but I will say, man, throughout my original playthrough, as we kept touching upon the aspect of a digital world, I was just wondering if we were actually going to be able to go there. So even though it was short, it was still enjoyable to see it and kind of how they depicted it, at least in this game. If you think about it, the current setting has a Mega Man Battle Network feel in Cyber Sleuth. And I don't know if you guys played it, but the Star Force series actually is like a perfect representation of Cyber Sleuth. I can't help but wonder though, if Cyber Sleuth was based more in the digital world, would we have longed to experience what the real world was like? So that's where I want to start. I actually think a better balance of the two would be amazing. Look at the Digimon World series, right? There, the whole idea is that we're stuck in the digital world and trying to get out. So a setting that allows us to freely move between them would actually be amazing. And speaking of Digimon World, the free roam capabilities is also a dream that I had while I was playing the story games. And as I've witnessed in these past few months making these Digimon videos, many people who played the new story games have not played Next Order, or should I even say, know about it. So on that front, right, if that was something you wished and hoped for more in story, Next Order, the other world games are right there, because that's where you're going to be able to explore the digital world. That's where you're going to have more diverse environments that you can free roam, like I said, and way more variable than what we saw with Eden. That's of course not talking about other reasons why you don't want to play it, like the combat, but that's a discussion for another time. So for the first piece of the puzzle to create a perfect Digimon game would be just that. Let's blend together the story aspect of real-world Digimon interpretation and the exploration and free roam capabilities present in the Digimon World series. Honestly, think of Persona 5, as many would agree, Cyber Sleuth felt like Persona 4 Golden, down to some specifics. Static camera in the real world, with a bit more open dungeon exploration experience. My man Keisuke made a great point about how the whole techno feel and touch of Eden was super cool at the start, but quickly felt repetitive. A good mix would remove this issue and allow for variability, because me, I'm a techie person, I like that kind of stuff, so the whole hacking, tech touch was so magical to me on my first playthrough, right? So I would definitely be cool keeping that to an extent. So, with that being said, a more digital world focus opens up to the next piece I'd want, which I actually saw multiple comments on my story video referring to. Now that we've set up the concept of traveling between the digital world and the real world, the story could be more focused on the affairs of Digimon, or should I say, the affairs in the digital world, and how that adversely affects the real world. just like the Digimon Adventure franchise. When I say that, I feel the need to actually mention Digimon Survive because that's basically our Digimon Adventure, the game, right? While Digimon Story in its entirety is its own thing, creating a 100% unique world and story. So what I'm saying is let's take these two aspects and combine them. Real world problems that we can solve in an Eden-like place, right? But something along the lines of, we have to go to the true root of the problem, that being the digital world.
From here is where things get exciting.
TOJ Hunter says this: the only real thing I want is a story focus on the Olympus 12. There's a bunch of lore that mostly shows up in a niche mobile game, and Apollomon is my favorite Digimon.
That brother was preaching.
When we think of the massive number of Digimon that the average fan does not know about, I think after Cyber Sleuth, one thing is for sure. There's a lot of lore behind these Digimon, and unless you're super in tune with Digimon, one simply just doesn't know of how deep and interesting the details can be.
That's what I call untapped potential.
We have demon lords like Lilithmon, Beelzemon, Lucymon, the Olympus 12 that we just mentioned, such as Apollomon, Dianamon, and Minervamon. Many of these Digimon appear in these recent games, but their true stories have not been fleshed out or not explained at all, and to the best of my knowledge, in any game. So let's fix that. Alright, so now comes the most pivotal piece. The part that has many iterations throughout the games, and honestly can go many ways. The combat and the gameplay of Digimon games, like I said, has been ever changing, and as we've discussed previously, the new generation seems to have found their base. But we're talking about the Perfect Digimon Game here, so let's spice things up a bit, Do y'all remember my recent Digimon World video? Every Digimon World game is different. They all play just a little bit different than the other one. Yeah, I want a little bit of that. And can I get a side of that too? All right, wait. Maybe I'm describing a dream game at this point. So let's break this down, right? I'm going to present two ideas for how the combat could go because I don't think we could get both. But in the comments below, let me know which one you would actually prefer. Let's get to it. As I've mentioned like 2 times at this point, Digimon game combats have just always been slightly different from each other. And so if I break it down, World 1 is the traditional way, the way it all started. You don't necessarily control the Digimon, it's AI controlled, which is also how Next Order plays. World 2 throws that out the window and adopts a turn-based combat, following World 3, which also does the same. So I'm giving you high-level descriptions. It's a bit more detailed than that. There are some adjustments and changes that are made throughout them, but yeah. And then lastly, this is where World 4 just goes a little south. Very south. Digimon World 4 is a full-on action RPG where you control the Digimon themselves and the battles are a hack and slash fashion. So while everyone I've talked to about Digimon World 4 doesn't remember the game because they choose not to remember,
I'm a bit different. It's like, nah. Neo had this idea.
Man, the combat of this game is just so barren and basic that it boggles my mind they let something like this release, especially after this is the 4th iteration. Not only that, but what in the world was their reasoning for leaving the turn-based structure? It just really makes no sense. But it does provide some unique thoughts now that the deed has already been done. Idea numero uno for how the combat could be in this game is action-based. The swords they used in these games was interesting to say the least. Although it makes no sense. Like, where the hell did they get them and how the hell are these creatures just getting massive? Bro, let's just move on. The designs of them look cool, right? But I bet it was just a lazy way of not customizing attack patterns for individual Digimon, right? But for this perfect game, we're not gonna be lazy around here, So imagine this, bro. An action-based Digimon game where Agumon, Vmon, Guillimon all have similar basic attack patterns, with some slight differences in their attack animations, based off the Digimon themselves, but their special attacks are their respective signature moves. So again, basic attacks, you pop off a baby flame if you're Agumon, you pop up a V punch or a V headbutt if you're Vmon, and then rock breaker for Gullymon.
And obviously, as they evolve, their signature moves will evolve, and it will get to the point where we have War Greymon using Terra Force to nuke a whole forest, like in the newest episode of Digimon Adventure.
What the fuck?
Sign me up.
That's me sort of creating my own combat, right? So I'd be curious for someone in the comments or anyone out there to think of a good action game, and we could adopt that concept into this one, right? So at the start of this combat section, I was saying like, yo, I want to get a little bit of action, a little bit of turn-based. So my idea was, if we're in the Eden-like place and there's a digital world, what if it's like action combat is happening in the digital world due to maybe like Digimon are the only ones that could be there and exploring it, and then when we go to the Eden-like area, that would be turn-based. But you know, I digress. So the second option for combat, you know, it could just be our standard turn-based approach that we saw in Cyber Sleuth and Digimon World 2 and 3. You know, quite frankly, I don't have too many ideas for this. I really like their unique virus data vaccine approach. I mean, it's directly coming from the franchise itself, so it makes sense. But the only thing I could think of is maybe adopt some other innovative turn-based concept that we've seen recently. My mind is a bit tunnel visioned right now, but baton passing could be a thing in some way. Critical hits maybe allow for follow-ups or a boost, or you know, something like that. Just ways to streamline battles, especially when it's versus easy opponents, to kind of give you the upper hand. I also think there should be some ways to benefit from proper team building. So for this one, I'd be interested in hearing your ideas, but overall, the turn-based approach would also be very cool, and as we've seen, is reliable. Additionally, in the comments of these past few videos, I've seen people talk about teammate bonding and things around connecting with characters a bit more. And I like that, because one thing I will say is for certain is that the interactions in Digimon game characters are unrivaled, right? I think it's a very underlooked aspect. They're not afraid to have mature topics or to get a little deep and or weird. And when you were taking cases in Cyber Sleuth, they were pretty interesting, you know, because you weren't sure what kind of people you're about to be interacting with. It was not black or white, basically. And also in Next Order, these Digimon had distinct personalities. Like literally, like this is weird, and you might find me weird again for picking this up or mentioning it, but some Digimon had lisps, some had a stutter, down to this man Edimon was like a rapper, you know, he was rhyming and all of his things. That one's not too crazy, but I think it speaks to my idea. It's just refreshing and entertaining, you know. I did see some discussions and debating about the confidence, social links aspect being added into this game. Some people were like, I don't want them to, you know, to just do that blatantly, and I agree, right? I don't want them to just rip it off entirely, but I think that idea, that concept would be something to explore. Maybe like, you know, certain times we can choose to hang out with party members or even our Digimon to gain some type of passive skills as we progress our relationship with the character. You know, that would be awesome. Because like I said, you know, they're pretty good and have a unique style of writing these type of conversations. So with that kind of skill, why not capitalize? All in all though, you know, that would be my perfect Digimon game. So feel free to simply take in what I said, fantasize, or if you are up for it, share your thoughts /wants in the comments below, because I literally read all my comments. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you liked this Digimon content and for other content coming. And if you do enjoy my content, don't forget to hit that join button today. So, hope you guys have a good day, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.